with Oracle, I can say. See, Oracle is very costly when compared with SQL Server. And in SQL Server, if you take, it's much cheaper. And in medium level companies, they opt the SQL Server. And one more thing, it has got excellent support for the .NET applications. In fact, using .NET, you can develop SQL Server based applications also. So, if you know .NET and if you know SQL Server, then definitely you can develop better applications. I mean, here in the SQL Server, initially it was only database server, then followed by TSQL. With the help of that, you could program you can implement the databases, then you can maintain those things. But now they released actually in 2008 this BI, Business Intelligence. Prior to that, it was mostly GTS, data transformation services they had. Using data transformation services, mostly we could transform databases from say text file to SQL Server, or from Excel to SQL Server, or from any other database to SQL Server, or from SQL Server to say XML file, or to say text file, or to any other database. People used to do with the help of the GTS, data transformation services. Now they are relying on the SSIS, SQL Server integration services. You can make SQL Server packages. With the help of that, you can do transformation. Similarly, when you do analysis mostly with the OLAP, as you know well. It is nothing but OLAP, and whereas SQL Server is actually, it is mostly it's operational databases. So from operational databases, you can move data into the data warehousing with the help of the SSIS. Then after that, you can create multi-dimensional cubes. Using that, you can analyze data. So once you analyze data, you can send the information or whatever output you are getting into dashboards, or it can be to reporting kind of thing, or it can be again sending it to Excel file. From Excel file, you can generate various charts. So all this you can do with the help of the MSBI. But before doing all those things, you have to know a little bit about the SQL Server. See, in the case of SQL Server, first of all, whenever you want to start SQL Server, either you have to use Windows authentication, or it can be SQL Server authentication. You have two types of authentications as far as SQL Server is concerned. Server authentication we have here. So Windows authentication we use whenever we access whenever the SQL Server as well as application in the same system. Suppose in my system now, the SQL Server is available in this system as well as application also I am going to run in the same system. Then in either case, I can use Windows authentication. No separate credentials are required. With whatever username and password I log into my system, same can be applied to open the SQL Server if it is Windows authenticated based. If it is SQL Server authentication, that we use whenever you have remote database. Your application may be running in this system, but database may be somewhere else. It may be in the intranet, or it may be in the internet. It is somewhere away from the my computer. Geographically, it may be in a distant place, or it may be in the LAN. In either of those two cases, we should use SQL Server authentication. So in such cases, we should specify username and password. Then with the help of that, we can access the SQL Server. Okay, so whenever you work with SQL Server, you save databases like MDF file, and the log file you make as LDF file in the SQL Server. MDF is nothing but master data file, then LDF is nothing but here log data file. So with the help of log data file, normally you can maintain the transactions. See, whenever you talk about transaction, you talk about in fact and properties. So in the ANSYS first thing is atomicity. With the transactions, you can maintain the atomicity in fact. Suppose you are trying to insert data into more than one table. So data is actually interdependent. You are trying to insert some data into table 1, at the same time you are trying to insert data into table 2, both are interdependent. If you are inserting data, it should be going into two tables, or else it should not be going into tables at all. But here what happens, due to some reason, in the first table data inserted successfully, when you are trying to insert data into second table, the relevant data, so it's not getting inserted, it's giving some kind of error message, unable to insert. Because of so many factors, you might have input certain constraints. So because of those constraints, it's not getting actually inserted into second table. So in such cases, whatever data you insert into first table should be rolled back. That means should be cancelled. So in such cases, we use the term atomicity. So transaction management is very important. All transaction logs we maintain with the LDF file. We have MDF as well as LDF file, master data file, then log data file, like this you are going to maintain here. And whenever you talk about SQL Server, you maintain here databases. The databases are going to contain collection of other objects like tables we have here. Then similarly, we have indices or indexes we say. Then we have views.
Sorry to interrupt you. Like
Yes.
Network connection lost.
Yes. You lost.
Give me a minute. I'll try to reconnect again.
Okay.
I'm rejoining the meeting.
Then how you are speaking in that case? If you got disconnected, your voice should not be heard in fact.
No, I joined on the phone.
Okay, over phone. Srinivas,
Yeah.
you had experience with PLSQL?
I'm able to see the screen now. You can go ahead.
Yes, yes. And Srinivas, you have good experience with PLSQL?
Yes.
Okay. So, similar to PLSQL, in this case we use TSQL, Transact SQL. It is nothing but programming language for the SQL Server. To interact with underlying database, we use here TSQL. So, databases, as you know, same thing in this case, it's collection of other objects like table, indices we have, then similarly views we have in this case, then synonyms we have in this case. Okay, similarly here in this case logins we have. All these are nothing but objects we have within the SQL Server database. So in fact, it creates four different system databases as soon as the SQL Server is installed for us. We have here four different databases: master database, model database, MSDB. One more thing is in this case tempDB. We have master database, then model database, MSDB, then tempDB. These are made for the system administrator. I mean, if these are corrupted, your SQL Server instance will become inoperable in fact. You may not be in a position to operate, and as far as the instances are concerned, we can have up to some 50 instances in the given same machine. Suppose you have a machine in this, you can have 50 different installations as far as SQL Server is concerned. So those instances may be Windows authenticated based, or it can be SQL Server authentication based. As per your requirement, normally you can give the authentication, or it can be mixed mode. That means both. It can be Windows based, Windows authentication based, or it can be SQL Server authentication based. It's up to you in fact. In whatever authentication mode you want to use, you can use. But while installing SQL Server instance, you have to make it. Okay, so these are going to be system databases. One is master database, then model, then MSDB, then tempDB. These are going to be predefined databases called as system databases in this case. The rest are going to be actually, user-defined databases, whatever I have here in this case. So AdventureWorks, DW, then similarly I have other databases like Ajax, AnjaliDB, APOter. So all these are nothing but user-defined databases. So when you take a database, using database, you can, in the RDBMS, database is totally actually abstracted one. Internally how things are saved, no clue on that. But whenever you take normal database variable system, something like DBase, Foxtrot, Clipper, in those things you have a file name. It's nothing but .dbf file you have in that case. So using .dbf file, you can access it. Hello, Srinivas.
Please.
Hello.
Can you come again, please?
Yeah. See. Srinivas?
Yeah, I'm able to hear you. Can you come again, the last statement again?
Yeah, see, when you take RDBMS, in the RDBMS what is happening, everything is abstracted for us. That means internally how the tables are getting saved, similarly how the views are getting created, how indices are getting created, how various constraints are getting created. We don't have any clue. Okay, so they are totally abstracted at the very high level, they are going to work in that case. So it's going to be conceptual, then followed by logical, then it's going to be physical. So physically how things are taking place, you don't have any clue, you don't have an idea, but we are going to think logically always. Okay, but when you take the DBMS, DBMS something like database I say, DBase 3+, something like .dbf, or you say similarly dot say Clipper size or similar to Fox base, Fox Pro. In those cases, every DBF file is going to be a table. But as far as RDBMS is concerned, where exactly tables are getting saved, we don't have any clue, we don't have an idea. With the help of create table, you create, so it's getting saved on the disk, but where exactly they are located, we don't know yet. But as far as DBMS is concerned, we can straight away access them like DBF files. And when you want to write programs, you are going to write it as .prg, this is what you can access. But whenever you take RDBMS, you may write a procedure, you may write a trigger, you may write a function. Where exactly they are getting saved, we don't have any clue on that. So they are totally abstracted, they are encapsulated in the database, I can say. So in the database they are encapsulated. To open them, either you require some kind of command, say SQL command you require, or it may be any programming language, from there also you can access it. Otherwise, straight away you can't access. But whenever you take the .dbf file, .erg, you can in fact look at the file. If you know about the file structure, even you can open them. If you take .prg, you can open it by using any notepad kind of thing. With the help of that, it can be opened. So in the case of RDBMS, you have a lot of security which you can't find with the DBMS. So one more thing is what, when you take RDBMS, we can join data, and that means one table you can join with another table, which is not possible with the DBMS packages. And other thing is what, with joining, we can have referential integrity. That is, integrity of the database we can maintain with the help of the normalization concept. As you know, there are three normal forms. One is 1NF, then second thing is 2NF, then we have here 3NF. There are three normal forms normally we adhere. Whenever we develop any database, we are going to stick to these three normal forms. Above that also up to 7 normal forms we can have, but normally we don't go up to that level. Just the three normal forms, they will be enough. And too much normalization again, it may not be useful. See, the opposition of normalization is nothing but joining. Whenever you go to a greater level of normalization, joining tables can become again difficult thing. It is going to take more and more time. So therefore, normally if you go up to 3 normal forms, that will be enough. You can avoid redundancy with the help of the normal forms. So these are all theoretical part. Already I think you have done a lot with the Oracle. Okay, but this is SQL Server similar to say Oracle database, and here also you have various database objects like tables, indices, views, synonyms. The logins you have here, you have stored procedures. Then similarly, you can define your own functions also in this case. Functions you can define. Then similarly, triggers also you can define. Triggers are going to be very, very useful. You have in this case triggers, they will be very much useful at times. For example, you have a product table. In the case of product table, you may enter data relevant to product. But what data in the product changes, price of the product may be changing from time to time. So in such cases, whenever the price of the product is changing, you can push data automatically into a history table. So in that case, with the help of triggers, you can do it. Whenever a new product is added or whenever a product price is getting modified, you can insert data into a history table with the help of the triggers. At times, triggers can be very, very useful. But usage of too much triggers also can be slowing down the things. Okay, so but product data table you take. In the case of product, once in a while only it changes. It's not very much frequent. It's not actually everyday operation. So once in a while it changes. Therefore, in that case, we can afford to have a trigger. So all these you can create even in the SQL Server. But mostly we focus on queries, SQL queries, and other thing is going to be say procedures. You can use queries as well as you can use procedures. With the help of that, you can be accessing the database. The rest of the DDL is once in a while only. Data definition language you make whenever you try to implement database at the time, you will be doing it. But while maintaining database, mostly it's going to be the select queries, or it may be action queries.
Sorry to interrupt you, Sridhar. So we don't have a cursor concept in a SQL Server?
We have cursor concept.
Okay.
But see, we normally don't write a lot of code with the SQL Server. In such case, what you can do, with the help of programming, you do normally. For example, you take C# language or VB.NET language you take. So with the help of that, what we do, programmatically you can fetch data into reader kind of thing actually. You have something like SQL data reader. With the help of reader, you read data into the reader object. There, record by record you can process. Cursors used to process record by record, that you can do. So with the help of the SQL data reader, you can use it. Or sometimes what happens, these days in-memory database are becoming famous. in memory,
So,
something like
that's good, but what are the advantages of SQL Server if you compare with the Oracle database?
See, definitely, I mean, advantage, advantage is going to be, first of all, cheaper it is. SQL Server is going to be cheaper, and programming, suppose you have experience with .NET or with the Microsoft products.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I don't have any knowledge on a .NET.
Okay. But see, if you want to implement MSBI, definitely we should know about .NET, because tomorrow you are going to develop applications, MSBI applications using, say, this one, BIDS. BIDS stands for Business Intelligence Development Studio. In such cases, you have to use C# language or VB.NET, without which you cannot do in fact.
So, but I'm morely focused on a SSIS or SSRS, SSAS, right?
Yes. But see, in the case of reporting service, again, if you know only these things, then where these will be consumed? Suppose you create reports. So, where you are going to show reports?
Your voice is, can you come again, please?
Suppose you create reports. Okay. The end user may not be having the tools like this SSRS client tools, they may not be having, similarly SSAS, SSIS tools may not be available. Where do you show data in that case?
So then I'll create a report on a database level, SQL Server database.
Ultimately, the report has to be consumed by some kind of application or not?
Yes, I agree.
For example, take a web page. In the web page, you may be showing the report. Correct?
Yeah, I agree.
So that's why, I mean, see, as a MSBI developer, you need not know, but ultimately someone has to connect whatever you develop with the end user application. Correct?
Okay.
So that, but if you know all these things, then definitely it can be advantage, I am saying. See,
Okay,
if you
sure.
take the database developers, they don't know anything about programming, still they develop, but they're limited to only database. That means they are going to work always with the SSMS. In the SSMS environment only they are going to work. That means creation of tables, creation of indices, creation of views, creation of procedures, creation of functions and triggers. They do those things. But ultimately, application developer have to hook to these objects. Then only it can be working. Okay. So that's why it is going to be. I mean, if you know .NET, then you can use more and more SQL Server. That's what I'm trying to say. Without that also you can develop it, but if you know those, then definitely you have more advantage.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. So in the case of MSBI, and one more thing, this SSMS, they use actually in this case SMO. SMO stands for Server Management Objects. So in the case of SQL Server Management Objects, using this SMO package itself, you can create databases straight away through your code. We don't go into this we say the SQL Server Management Studio, SSMS we say. Without going into SSMS, we can do all those things with the help of the SMO. So SMO stands for SQL Server Management Objects. In fact, with the help of that, through your code itself, you can create databases, you can create tables. Imagine one scenario. Suppose I develop an application. It's it is very cheaper application. For 2,000 or 3,000, I want to sell that application. But the application requires actually database support. Something like SQL Server database support is required. The database also Express editions they want to use. They don't want to buy. Microsoft is giving us actually this Express edition. So up to say some 1 lakh records you can save in that. Further they are not going to charge. So in such cases, I developed an application, a Windows application I developed, I want to deploy that application with the client. So in that case, the cost is only 2,000 rupees, but I want to make volume based selling in that case. I want to sell it to so many people. So in that case, since I developed application, I cannot go to client and I can't install in the client machine. Reason, whatever amount I am getting is very, very less. I can't afford to go to client, I can't afford to install. So in such case, what they do, they develop application. First time when they run application, automatically database must be getting created for us. In such cases, you can use SMO. Okay, that means these latest versions of SQL Server, they are open for the programming very much, I can say. Probably sometime back, say 2005 or 2000, in those cases, mostly it was closed. Now it's very much open. Using programming also, you can actually manipulate the underlying databases, SQL Server databases. See, when you look at Oracle is actually very, it is more secure when compared with the SQL Server. And for big companies, definitely Oracle is the ideal tool when compared with the SQL Server. SQL Server can be for medium level companies or for small companies. It is going to be really very much useful. And as far as SQL Server is concerned, you have many versions of SQL Server. You have actually Express editions, free of cost you can use. Then similarly, you have in this case, say Professional Edition, Standard Edition, then Enterprise Edition we have. In the Enterprise Edition, you have so many features. For example, you take agents. You have here in this case mail agents. With the help of the mail agent, as soon as you perform such an operation, even a mail can be sent. So depending on the requirement, normally you can choose the edition of SQL Server, but definitely you cannot compare SQL Server with Oracle, because Oracle is definitely a proven technology. I mean, in number of areas they are using it. It is a suite of products. In fact, it's not only just database. Along with the database, you have so many features. In the same manner, Microsoft is trying to do. In fact, it's more secure but very costly also at the same time. If it is Oracle, it's very costly when compared with the SQL Server. Whenever you want to develop small applications, web-based applications, in such cases, SQL Server is the ideal tool, I can say. And it supports, it has very simple programming model like TSQL. With the help of that, you can access it. So this SQL Server you can program even by using .NET also. So these are the few advantages you have with the SQL Server. But Oracle is very tightly, I mean, tight coupling is required from Java. It supports both Java as well as PLSQL. No other programming language actually, I think, has any access to Oracle. In the case of this Microsoft SQL Server, you can use any of the 5 languages like C++ you can use, like J# you can use, C# you can use, VB.NET you can use, and C++ you can use. With the help of those, you can in fact program it. So therefore, I mean, for small applications, and when you want to develop Windows-based applications or say ASP.NET applications, in such cases, SQL Server will be ideal tool. But MSBI also, in the business intelligence, mostly in the case of say decision support systems, we are going to use it. If you take business intelligence, it's required only in the say decision support system. For transaction processing or for the MIS, it may not be much useful, but in the decision support systems, it will be useful. So what kind of applications you developed, Srinivas, with Oracle BI?
Pardon?
No, what kind of applications you developed using Oracle BI?
Oracle Business Intelligence tool you are talking about?
Yes. I mean, what type of applications? So, I mean, your application for targeting who actually? Decision support people or management information system people, or it is people who perform the transactions? Who were actually targeted? The Oracle BI applications.
So the Oracle BI, I never worked on Oracle BI. I worked on Oracle PLSQL and SQL. I worked on Informatica.
Okay, on Informatica. That means only ETL you have done.
Yes, I completely my experience related to ETL.
Okay, so extraction, transformation, and loading. So in this case, it is going to be SSIS. In the case of SQL Server, it's going to be SSIS. So something like from Excel file to SQL Server database.
I have an experience in a business objects also. So that's why I'm planning to learn SQL Server integration services with SQL Server reporting services both.
Okay. But before that, you need to know a little bit SQL Server. Then accordingly,
the way you are going is good. That's good. You are giving a good like a basics on a SQL Server. So this is really good. But please go ahead.
Yes. So that's the only I'm thinking, because what exactly you are doing, if I understand, accordingly it can be planned. That's my intention. That's why I'm trying to discuss too many things. It may be a little bit confusing in the beginning, but I want to understand exactly what you are doing, how it will be useful to you. That's why I'm thinking, Srinivas.
Yeah, you're right. I'm planning to move on a SQL Server side, like a database SQL Server, and the ETL and the reporting tools are SQL Server products like SSIS and SSAS. So that's why anyhow the database is similar, but anyhow I have to learn something on a SQL Server database also.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's what.
Yeah, and my core experience is on a ETL side. Like I worked on once again, I told you already, but I'm repeating again.
Yes.
A database side, like a SQL and PLSQL.
Yes.
And also the ETL, I worked on a ETL in Oracle PLSQL by using Oracle PLSQL, core PLSQL.
Okay.
ETL, no other tool. We implemented ETL by using PLSQL, and I worked on Informatica. And I worked on a business objects and crystal reports.
Okay, use crystal reports also.
Yes.
Okay. So that means you know about crystal reporting programming also then.
Yes.
Because crystal reports also supports predictive programming in that case. You can create functions, you can create parameters, so you can straight away call the database without using any particular application programming language. You can get connected. So it's really good experience. There is a lot of demand even for the crystal reports outside. I don't know exactly how it is in India, but in US there is good demand for the crystal reports.
But I worked on crystal reports like not now, like 4 years, not 5 years ago. But right now I'm working on a.
But you don't forget Srinivas, because see, on crystal reports I worked 10 years before.
Okay.
Exactly in 2003, 2004 worked with the crystal reports, but still I could remember that. Once you work with that, I mean really if you are involved in the development, you never forget that particular thing. Within no time you can recall that. So that is the advantage with the programming. If you really involved in that, if you work superfluously on task, you never definitely forget. But if you involve in that, definitely you never forget it.
I agree.
Yeah, so now what we do, we try to create some SQL Server database in this case. You have any tool for this? Have you installed SSMS?
No, I did not install anything on my system.
Okay. I mean, you try to download Microsoft Enterprise Edition, Microsoft SQL Server 2014 Enterprise Edition, try to download, trial version.
Okay.
So I'm typing here, you need to download this, Microsoft, the SQL Server.
You mean right now, or I can download later?
Not now, later on you can download it.
Okay.
So 2014 Enterprise trial version you can download.
Okay.
So when you download trial, all the features will be available. Up to 6 months you can use it without paying anything then.
Okay.
So you can explore totally. You can give a trial for this. You can download Microsoft SQL Server 2014 Enterprise trial. This is the latest version available.
Okay.
Okay. So even in this you have here tools like this is SSIS. Then similarly SSAS is available in this. SSRS also, they are available in this, you can use them.
Okay.
Microsoft SQL Server 2014 Enterprise Trial you can download, SSIS, SSAS and SSRS, you can have these things. But before doing that, what you do, I request you to download this Microsoft TFS you try to download, TFS Express.
What do you mean by TFS?
TFS is nothing but Team Foundation Server. TFS, Team Foundation Server, is a tool with the help of that you can maintain the versions. You know about version control mechanism?
Yes, I know version control.
So what was the version control tool you used it?
I worked on dimensionality. Have you heard about the dimensionality?
No, I did not hear.
Okay, dimensions, there is IBM tool.
Okay.
That we use for version control.
Okay.
There is one of the popular version control tool right now.
Okay, dimension.
Yeah, dimension.
But we use very much TFS or other tools.
I worked on Informatica version control also, but Informatica version control is a bit easy to compare with dimensions. But dimensions, like you can use like not only PLSQL, but you can maintain all the versions of your work.
Okay, with dimensions, correct. That is.
Yeah, with dimensions.
If you take the Informatica version control, it's only for the Informatica, not for everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Informatica is only for Informatica, but in dimensions you can use for all your project related stuff.
Yes. So in this case also with the TFS, you can use for any kind of data, even images you can save with that. Suppose today you make one image using Paint. Okay, you can have a version. Tomorrow you can check it out. Then after that you can modify that image. Again you can save it.
Okay.
So
can you expand TFS again?
Yes, TFS is Team Foundation Server.
Can you come again? Your voice is breaking.
See, with the help of TFS, you can maintain the versions. Different versions you can actually.
Okay, that's good. Go ahead.
Yeah, one more thing is GitHub is I use GitHub. Then one more is Microsoft TFS. Prior to Microsoft TFS, we used to use actually this it was actually VSS, Visual Source Safe. With the Microsoft product, we have a tool called as VSS, Visual Source Safe. We used to use it. You download Microsoft TFS Express 2013, then install first this one, then after that download SQL Server, then try to install it. So if you install first on the SQL Server 2014, then after that if you try to install Microsoft TFS, probably that may give little trouble. So instead of that, first download Microsoft TFS Express 2013, install it, then try to install SQL Server 2014. That is required.
Okay. What is a GitHub? GitHub?
See, GitHub is basically, it is for the Java programs initially they created. Okay, so GitHub is nothing but a repository online, that is. In the internet itself, free of cost, you can have your versions. In the GitHub, you can maintain it. You can type www.github.com. It gives you the site, in that site you can maintain. And you need a tool called GIT in your machine in that case. You have a GIT, with the help of GIT, you can have same version control. Versions you can maintain using GitHub as well as with the GIT. GIT is basically local system. GitHub is going to be somewhere external repository, that is.
So this Microsoft TFS is only for Microsoft products, or you can maintain it?
It's any kind of thing. It's basically a version control database. It's called as actually ALM, Application Lifecycle Management Tool, I can say. It's called an ALM tool, Application Lifecycle Management Tool it is. I mean, for version control, you can use, it's a better tool in fact. We are using only Express to understand how it is working. But in the runtime, definitely you require TFS Enterprise, then only you can maintain the required things.
So this is not only Microsoft, right?
Yeah, you can maintain test kind of thing also in that. All they are possible with the TFS in fact. Okay, so because see, if you know simply tool, that may not be sufficient. The working environment also is going to be very, very important in my opinion. See, tool, if you have some comfort of some 40-50%, that is enough in fact, and you have to be very much comfortable with the environment. If you are good with environment, then in that case, definitely you are going to be retained. If you know only just coding and you know only about tool, that may not be sufficient. So the environment is going to be very, very important in my opinion, because we have to know about TFS, we have to know about even certain other tools also. Sometimes they will be useful, something like bulk uploading of data, and converting data from the SQL Server into flat files. So if you know a little bit about Excel, how to create CSV files, these are going to be really very much useful to us. So environment also you have to know well. At the same time you have to know tool also. But if you have some 50% proficiency in the tool, that will be enough. Because I mean, online also you can get help. If you can use properly online, definitely most of the mostly you can get solutions. So this way environment also is to be very important. Therefore, you require a TFS, and you need to download Microsoft SQL Server 2014 Enterprise Trial version. You can download up to 6 months. You can use it. So one more thing, even if you can download one more tool, I am saying that is up to you. If you want to install it, you can install this. Microsoft, this is Visual Studio 2013. That is Ultimate Trial again. This is Ultimate Trial. You can download. In this case, you can develop MSBI related applications. Using this one, you can develop MSBI related applications also. So, Microsoft Visual Studio 2013 Ultimate Trial, if you download, you can use it up to 90 days in a Microsoft account. Something like Hotmail account, if you have, in that case, up to 90 days, you can use it.
So this sorry, like there is a I may miss this sentence, I guess. How that MSBI is different to these three tools, SSIS and SSRS and SSAS?
MSBI is together actually, all those things.
Pardon?
Together you can call it as MSBI. MSBI stack of applications. SSIS, SSAS, SSRS, they are going to be stack of applications. Together they can be working with the MSBI.
Okay.
So first of all, with integration services, what you do exactly? You create the warehouse databases. From operational databases, you move data into warehouse database. So once the warehouse database is available, you can go with the dimensional cubes, in fact, multi-dimensional cubes, dimensions you can create, cubes you can create, measures you can create, extents you can create. Then with the help of that, you can analyze data. So once data is analyzed, whatever information you are getting, you can make it as a reporting kind of thing. So together you are going to use this. That can be called as MSBI, Microsoft Business Intelligence.
One question please. So this SSI support all the database, external databases, or only SQL Server, Oracle, and flat file?
Yeah, it can support any kind of data, in fact.
So, is it support a mainframe file?
Mainframe file, some kind of bridge is required in that case.
Pardon?
Some kind of bridge is required for the mainframe, because mainframe data mostly is going to be the DB2 format, and then they use COBOL files kind of thing. Some kind of a bridge is required.
Okay.
Some kind of connectivity is required to access not only mainframe, even with the AS400.
Okay.
See, mainframe is one kind of technology we had, and one more thing is what AS400 also you had. You might be knowing about AS400.
Yes,
okay.
I know this is the latest server of mainframe. That is a heart in the market.
And the AS400 database also you can connect, but you require some kind of connector in that case. Either connector, or I can say either it can be connector or bridge is required. With the help of that, we can do it. But so, see, what is happening? Every kind of application.
One question is, I'm sorry. Normal process like we extract mainframe files by using a third-party tool or a third-party process into our DB2 tables. After that, we use that DB2 as a source for other tools. Right? So in the SSI also we use the same process, or
same like that it's going to use. But see, these days people are working very much with the XML. See, people are working very much with XML these days. From the mainframe, what you can do, you can retrieve data like XML file. XML file you can feed into SSIS. It becomes very simple.
Okay.
XML is extensible model language. Even the SQL Server supports XML very well. Microsoft, if you take, they got tremendous support for the XML in fact. So XML is basically means for presenting data and for sharing data. When you take SQL Server, it basically means for persistence of data. Data you are going to save forever. In that case, use these RDBMS packages. XML is basically for sharing and supporting data, sharing and presenting data. When you want to present data, when you want to share data, you can use XML. So from the mainframe.
Sorry, is there any size limit to that XML when you extract?
Yes, see, I mean, how they are supporting in the mainframe, probably they have certain tools. With the help of that, whatever data you have, you can just convert into XML. That XML file you can feed into SSIS. So it can take data from the XML, it can put into now this warehouse database with the help of SSIS. So like that, all databases, all major vendors, they are supporting XML these days. Even from the SQL Server, straight away you can create XML files. Even from Oracle, you can straight away create XML file. XML file can be created with schemas, in fact. Okay, with schemas you can create XML file. So people these days they are supporting XML very much. Therefore, connection is not a difficult thing nowadays. I think easily you can take XML files, can get connected to underlying tools like SSIS. So with the help of that, you can create the warehouse database. Once you create database, you can start analyzing that. Ready, Srinivas?
Okay, I got it.
And XML also supported well in the SQL Server. You can create XML column. XML documents straight away you can take and you can keep part of the database column as far as SQL Server is concerned. It's called as XML DML.
I worked on it.
XML DML it is. Normally DML is called. Yes.
XSDs and XML I worked.
Yes, I mean here also you can create schema, you can attach schema with the database column. One of the type is called as XML column type. Type of data is going to be XML type. You create a table. In the table you can put the column type as XML. Then you can attach a schema to the XSD. Then after that you can try to insert XML file into given column. So due to any reason, if XSD is not matching, if it's failing either case, if the XML document is not validated, data will not be saved. Normally we use XSD for validating documents, correct?
Yes.
So for example, take EDIFACT. You might be knowing about EDIFACT. EDIFACT stands for Electronic Data Interchange Format for Administration, Commerce and Trade. In such cases, you can use XSD as well as XML. You take nowadays online transactions. Whenever you try to perform online transactions, in that case, you need to fill documents in a specific format. If you don't send in a specific format, in that case, your transaction cannot be successful. So that they are doing with the help of the XSD as well as the XML. They create XML file, they have XSD. So whenever you try to compare the XML file with XSD, if it is matching, then in that case, document is validated. Otherwise, it can be rejected. So that way you can use. So you have excellent support for the XML with the SQL Server. Okay, Srinivas?
Yeah, I got it. So by using this SSIS, can I use both the source and target as a XML?
You can use.
Okay.
For XML, you can take data, you can create actually the warehouse. Again, from there you can convert it back to XML file. After processing it, you can make it.
Okay.
So I'll show those examples also. Let me plan actually for you syllabus exactly how we can proceed.
Okay.
So then tomorrow we meet again at the same time, but the session has to be every day, 1.5 hours, something like that we have, Srinivas.
Okay, sure. So what are the